I'm Abby, and this is Abby Matt Reads, and this is my August wrap-up. This is the first time I've done a wrap-up because I was kind of centered on doing like individual reviews of books I've read, but I've kind of, the more I've been reading lately, I've kind of realized that I can't just review every single book that I've read. So it would make more sense to start doing wrap-ups, although I do not read as much as other booktubers, so it might be kind of a short wrap-up, but and I'm very nervous about it because I've not done a wrap-up before, so bear with me, and I hope you enjoy it. The first book that I read in August is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I was really pleasantly surprised by this because I've heard quite a few bad things about it. Even though I really love Dark Places and I absolutely loved Gone Girl, I just thought it was a lot better than I had anticipated. It is about Camille Preaker, who is a journalist, and she has been sent back to her hometown of Wingap to investigate the murders of two little girls who've had their teeth pulled out as well, a bit gory. And her Wingap is her hometown, and she has to live again with her toxic mother and her kind of weird sister Amma, and she investigates this and she kind of finds clues, and the plot's quite gripping. What I found is the characters really stood out, and that the relationships between the characters and the way the plot twisted and turned was just like electric, and I absolutely loved the way it conducted itself. Electric conducted, get it? Yay. But the relationships between the characters, which become way more important towards the end of the book, were just as thrilling as the plot, really. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. The second book I read was actually a buddy read with Cressida from Starcross Books, and it is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallero. I'd never heard of this book until Cress recommended it, so it was brand new to me. And the plot is that Charlotte and Jamie is Jamie Watson, and then there's Charlotte Holmes. They are at the same prep school in Connecticut. They're teenagers, and Charlotte, as you may have guessed, is about the great granddaughter of Sherlock Holmes. Watson, as you can now guess, is the same with Dr. Watson from the Tales of Sherlock Holmes. So they meet in this prep school in Connecticut. They've never met before, but their families have always kind of intertwined. Charlotte is an amazing character. She's very eccentric, as you would expect from a descendant of Sherlock Holmes. And very soon the two are kind of framed for a murder that happens at their school, and they have to work together to actually solve it. What I liked is that the murder was kind of had links to the original Sherlock Holmes tales, so it was kind of a little nod of recognition. But having a mother like I did, who was so obsessed and was so passionate about Sherlock Holmes, the whole world that he had, and always having Sherlock Holmes on TV or having all the books everywhere, I found it hard to kind of suspend my disbelief at the premise of this book. Also, I didn't like how Americanized they made Charlotte, seeing as she was meant to have always been British and grown up in England. But I did get really annoyed at how Americanized they made Jamie, until I stupidly realized that he had grown up in Connecticut, so that was all my fault. the relationship between Charlotte and Jamie is the best thing about this book. The plot is not the best, and as Cressida has said, the transitions, Brittany Cavaliero's transitions, are not the best either. You'll be reading and you're in one room with a few characters, and then suddenly you're in another room with another character, and because you haven't properly transitioned across that, you still think you're behind, and it can be quite confusing. I will link down to Cressida's wrap up where she does her own review of this book. I will link that down below. And I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. The third book I read in August was World After by Susan E. This is a second book in the trilogy of the Penryn and the End of Days, and I buddy read this with Talia. I'm obviously, as this is the second book in the trilogy, I'm not going to give too much away, but I will explain the premise of the whole trilogy, which is basically where angels have come down to Earth and basically destroyed it. There have been earthquakes and they've wrecked buildings. They have wreaked havoc upon planet Earth, and it's an apocalyptic world now. We don't see that at all. We begin in the aftermath where Penryn, who is a 17-year-old girl who cares for her disabled sister and her mentally ill mother, where they're trying to run and find safety. And along the way, she sees a group of angels, so she hides and she watches them, and they are tearing apart, actually, this other angel who she runs to defend because Penryn kicks ass and is a caring person at the same time, which makes her a very unique female character. And as she saves this angel, who is known as Raffi, they build a friendship. Because she went back to save Raffi, she has lost contact with her sister and her mother, and the first book focuses on Raffi trying to help Penryn find her sister and hoping that her mother isn't getting into too much trouble. The second book continued seamlessly from the first, and it gave you a lot more information about the world and what the angels were up to, and it really answered a lot of questions that you would have asked reading the first book. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the third in the trilogy, and I give this 4 out of 5 stars. The fourth book that I read in August is Joanna Hickson's The Tudor Crown. Now, we all know how much I absolutely love my historical fiction. So I saw this in the supermarket and thought, yes, I gotta get it. That's because I especially love Tudor fiction. And this was a bit unlike any other Tudor book I had picked up before. Basically because it does not start with a Tudor king or queen on the throne. Instead, it is the story of how King Henry VII rose to become king after his exile in Brittany due to the results of the War of the Roses, and how his mother, Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was extremely loyal to him in the book, how she helped plan his rise from his exile. I am planning a historical fiction review special, so I will not say much more about this book except that I give it 4 stars out of 5. The fifth book I read in August, and the 1 5-star book that I read in August, is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I don't have to tell you that this was good because everyone I know who's ever read it has thought it was brilliant, and it does live up to the hype. I can't wait to review it and review it in depth because it is brilliant. The plot is basically Evelyn Hugo is a movie star from the golden age of Hollywood, the 50s and 60s, but had a long spanning career. And Monique is a writer for a magazine called Vivant, and is surprised when Evelyn Hugo's people choose her specifically, because she's not a very high up writer. She's not a very famous writer, but she is a very good writer. They have chosen her specifically to write her biography. Not just ghostwrite it, but write it with all her secrets and keep all the money to herself. The only catch is that she cannot publish it until after Evelyn Hugo's death. So it goes back and you relive obviously the 7 husbands, but it's just the historical fiction of just the glamour, and it's the kind of thing, the reason we all flick through celebrity magazines and obsessively click about them is because this is the kind of life we really want to read about and nose into. And it's all here, and it's glorious, and it's brilliant. And I think, and there's brilliant representation of bisexuality in this book as well. And as a bisexual person myself, I think this is the one book I've read that properly portrays it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, as you know. The last book I read in August, and I would say the most disappointing, but I wasn't really expecting a good book. It was The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill, which is a reimagining of The Little Mermaid. I'm not going to go too into depth with this book because there is actually no depth to explore. It's pretty much this Grace, well, which is called when she's that. I've told you before that when I read books and I don't like them, I forget them. So I'll call her Grace. Grace is a mermaid, and she is a daughter of the king of the sea, and there are many other sisters, and they're basically kept as like trophy girls, and they have no freedom. And she's up in the water at one point, and she basically, this is ridiculous, she sees a boat wreck and looks at this man, instantly falls in love with him, decides to save his life, and then can't get over him. In those 2 minutes, she's absolutely in love, and that's it. And then she wants to make a deal with the sea witch so she can go on land and make him fall in love with her, which she's so convinced will happen so easily. I didn't actually hate this as much as everyone else did. I think as a standalone story it would have been fine, but it had no place calling itself a feminist story, and I also think that there was no reason for every male character to be a complete dick. So I gave this book 2 stars out of 5. Okay, well, that is all for today. That was my first wrap up. Please don't be too mean, but if it was terrible, because I tried my best. If you did like it though, give me a thumbs up. That'll reassure me. That'll make me happy, and you want to do that for me, don't you? Because I'm a nice girl and you're a nice person. So go on, give me a thumbs up. If you are new here and you would like to see more videos from me, I'm a lot more confident in others, I promise, then subscribe. That would really mean the world to me. I'm going to try and put more work into my channel so that I can get more subscribers. I'm not subscriber driven, but I would like a few more, to be honest with you. And all my social media is listed below, but especially I'm on Twitter a lot, and that is at AbbyMattReads on Twitter. I have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/AbbyMattReads. Simple to remember. I think that is it for now. Hope you enjoy your day. Bye.